back! Man, my vacation was so much fun, even though my grandmother complained a lot, but that's old ladies for you. Anyway, Iceland was super fun, and honestly, the weather was baller. Being back truly makes me realize how much I hate Texas. It's hotter than the sun here, but enough about my trip. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. So in my last video, I made Beelzebub and made that version the mother of Kesha B, which I noticed not a lot of people caught since so many comments were like, I like Viv's B better because the sin's more modern or because she's so nice. Meanwhile, I'm like, I wasn't referencing Viv's B, but the Christianity biblical version. So yeah, again, for the people in the back, my Beelzebub video is not a redesign of Viv's B, but my own version based on the same information I'm sure Viv used. After this video, there will be a redesign/reimagined version of Viv's B, aka Kesha B. But enough about that. This video is all about Cerberus, my Beelzebub's husband. Now again, I can hear y'all, but Brittany, Cerberus is from Greek mythology. Yeah, I'm very aware. But hear me out on this one. There is a book about the 9 levels of hell, each on its own landscape and torture type. And in the book, it references Cerberus. And that book, or in this case poem, is Dante's Inferno. Now, Dante's Inferno holds no historical biblical significance as it was written more than 700 years ago, and is what a lot of people would call biblical self-insert fan fiction. But it does still hold some weight in history, since the book itself inspired so many great artists and writers, plus the autobiography really helped with understanding its message more. If you want to know a lot more about Dante himself and his work, I'll leave a link to his full history in the description. But the reason I bring up Dante's Inferno is because Cerberus is referenced in the poems. Specifically, he is said to be guarding and torturing the damned in the gluttony ring, and since Vivzy Pop herself had hellhounds be native to gluttony, I assumed she was also referencing Dante's Inferno, which is another reason I thought Kesha B was the daughter of the OG Beelzebub and Cerberus, since hellhounds are lower ranked citizens, which I find it funny. Gluttony and wrath have citizens that are ranked low in their hellish society, and I often wonder why, since imps probably outnumber most of each ring's citizens along with hellhounds, which is kinda why I wish there was more than just one citizen type for each ring. Like, if there were more higher ranked citizens, then I could probably buy the imps and hellhounds being low due to them not living long enough, like the succubus having 30 plus years added to their lifespan, and then other lust citizens have like 100 plus years along with other citizen types and other rings. Where wrath, due to it being a war-based culture, it's harder to keep citizens' numbers up due to constant deaths, hence why imps are able to have such large families. I mean, Millie's family is large, a couple families in the background also have a lot of kids, along with the fact that imps are able to breed with pretty much any demon that they come across. So I kind of headcanon that Wrath didn't make more citizens, he just kept the imps because they were already pretty much perfect for what he wanted them to do, which was have the women constantly pump out kids and then have the kids go off to do war. Go off to do war things. And not only that, gave them the ability to have kids with other ring citizens, so we'll have different types of imp type citizens who will also go and fight these wars. So it's just like, oh, I don't have to upgrade my own citizens. They can do it themselves by going to other rings and sleeping with other rings, demons, and then coming back and fighting the war with their new strength or powers. Hopefully that made sense because that got off topic. Sorry. Oh, right. Kesha B. So yeah, I really did think Viv was referencing Dante's Inferno with the Hellhound thing, which I was kind of excited about since not a lot of people reference it, but finding out she was just Beelzebub and not even technically a hound. Like, yes, foxes and hounds, they do share the same like DNA family, but a fox and a wolf are like two very different things symbolically. Made me kind of sad. And I know not many citizens look like their prince, but it's still kind of weird for her to be a fox thematically. I tried to explain that in my last video. When I say it's weird for her to be a fox, I don't mean in the sense of like her being a fox. Like, the physical form of her being a fox isn't weird to me. It's the symbolism behind her being a fox, because gluttony and foxes do not have anything in common. When you think of a fox within theming and symbolic, you think greed, you think sly, you think cunning, which just doesn't really apply to Kesha B at all, nor does it apply to the sin itself or the hellhounds within her domain. So it's just weird in that form. But yeah, anyway, I decided to make Cerberus and make him Beelzebub's husband, as their marriage would be more of an alliance than anything. So let's get into the design. So, in Dante's Inferno, Cerberus isn't really described all that well, and I know some of the video games around the poem have him looking absolutely crazy, but I decided to just go more traditional. Obviously, his true form is less humanoid, but still, in the poem, he's described as being a tormentor in this circle, tearing apart the damned and constantly bellowing in a hunger. And that's pretty much it, other than Virgil feeding him mud and that he's the punisher of the gluttony ring. Though he is still described as having 3 heads, so that was helpful. Now, normally I'd look into everything that has to do with Cerberus, but actually Dante's version helped a lot in my ideas. Plus, the Greek mythology version of Cerberus is still pretty close. I mean, he did take inspiration from the Greek mythology version of Cerberus anyway. But if you go further down the rabbit hole, there's like a little bit more detail on what Cerberus kind of looks like. But it does vary from person to person, so nothing is truly set in stone with this character. So Dante's version is still pretty close, just instead of living in the gluttony ring, he guards the entrance to Hades' domain. But since everything was pretty much similar within the poem and the actual Greek mythology, there wasn't too much for me to like mix and match or do anything with. But I really like the guarding for both realms part, as that could give him way more to do in the hellish society. AKA, he could probably oversee all the portals in every realm. And what I love about both versions is that both have him guarding or in control of one area and have him have this constant hunger, which I think works well with Beelzebub being his wife, as she could indulge him forever and he would never be satisfied by it. So for this design, I made him extremely skinny in the stomach area because I mean, he's still a guard dog, but to make up for the lack of making him skinny everywhere, I went with a bone fur pattern and skull heads. That's right, we got a King Clawthorn type thing going on with this one. And as for what kind of dog he is, I'm not exactly sure. So many drawings have him look different every time, so I tried to mix them all together. So he's like a wolf, Rottweiler, Doberman mix. Oh, and with like a little bit of dragon because of the fire, which honestly, I just based that part around Disney's Hades because, surprise, he's my favorite Disney villain. But anyway, yeah, so the heads are all of one mind, though express different emotions depending on the situation, and all speak at the same time, but have different voices, making it extremely haunting to hear him talk. Now, as for his outfit, I didn't want him to look as put together as the other sins, along with not looking as royal, since he's not exactly a high-ranked being, so I went simple. A big dog collar with spikes and a broken chain. As originally as I've headcanoned it, he was chained to the entrance of gluttony till Beelzebub fell and took over. Also, side note, every so often I'd see a drawing of Cerberus with collars on all 3 necks, and I'm just like, yeah, there's no way that's comfortable, especially with the spikes or studs, so that's why I did one big collar. I also added cuffs, more theming to him being trapped at the gate, and finally his bottoms. Well, I won't lie, I did try to put him in a toga, but it felt too restricting for a giant flaming dog monster, so I settled with I'm not even going to try to say that, but it's basically Roman men's underwear with a belt, which honestly works, since in his full form, he's just pretty much naked, but I did spice it up by adding a 3-headed belt buckle. Now for color, I went with mint green and yellow as a mix of greed and gluttony, though technically gluttony is orange, but still. I liked the idea of Cerberus being like a greedy eater, like he has no thought behind his eating, just that he needs more. Plus, it's a nice opposite to Beelzebub's more yellowish orange palette. Now, that's all I pretty much got design-wise, because obviously the green mint color is the main color along with the accent yellow, but, you know, the fur color is basically just gray. And that's pretty much it. Other than the ombre effect, which I have always called like the ghost effect, where basically like the ends of each limb are a little bit lighter but that just that was just more of a design choice than anything like really thought worthy. I just remembered I should say something about the design elements of his, I'm gonna call it a skirt because calling it underwear just feels weird. Like, yeah, it's underwear, but it's also like his outfit. So yeah. Anyway, I went with a lightning pattern as Cerberus's father, Typhoon, has a strong connection to the Olympic family, meaning in some writings he's Gaia's son and others he's Hera's son, which I personally like best as that just puts him in a weird spot since him and his mate go on to have many monster babies, one of which is Cerberus, and Hercules, Zeus's son, goes to kill basically Hera's grandson, so it's all kinds of fucked up and very Greek mythology drama. So yeah, that's pretty much why I use the lightning pattern. I mean, no one was gonna get it except me because I'm that crazy person that does that level of research, but still, I thought it was funny and a hint to his lineage because even though Zeus isn't his dad, he's still related to him since Hera is Zeus's sister, and I've gone completely off topic again. Sorry, but Greek mythology is so wild and I love it. Anyway, so for now, I'm just going to talk about his role and relationship with Beelzebub. So he was technically in gluttony first till Beelzebub fell, and I will get into that with my Leviathan video because a lot of people assume Leviathan is a fallen angel. Fun fact, they are not, and I cannot wait to talk about them. So when Beelzebub fell and made it to gluttony, they didn't hit it off, I'll tell you that. But as time went by and Cerberus started creating hellhounds, a war kind of went off between her citizens and his till they finally couldn't take it anymore. Cerberus couldn't focus on his portals to send his hellhounds after sinners whose time was up, and Beelzebub couldn't get the kingdom and honey she needed, so they started an alliance, but found the public assumed they were going to get married like Lucifer and Lilith, and since that would make them the second hellish couple to get married, they figured it was a good idea. The marriage isn't bad. They did find each other beneficial in the beginning and have slowly truly fallen in love. I like to think they have the current dynamic of Julian and Jenna Marbles, where now they just joke around and call each other snacks. However, even though Cerberus' status has been elevated due to his marriage, the hellhounds are still considered lower, though they are above imps, and hellhounds who do have imp owners are seen as less than or an embarrassment. Also, I should add, since I'm doing world building here, that hellhounds can have jobs outside of being a guard dog or pet. They're usually specifically connected to Cerberus and given missions to kill humans who made deals with demons, but hellhounds who do not work for Cerberus are usually pets or guard dogs. Also, Cerberus has a hard time seeing other rings treat his citizens as pets, but finds there's not much he can do due to overpopulation and the fact that some of the hellhounds seem to enjoy it. Like, the line between pet and person is an extremely difficult thing in their society, as no hellhound sees Cerberus as a pet, but others do, which is why their daughter having a hellhound lover is seen so weirdly, as hellhounds think it's another step up, while others see it as her getting down with the family pet. But I'll get more into that when we get into Kesha B's video. Anyway, I'm not super satisfied with this design, as I was kind of working backwards, but I still love him regardless, and I kind of can't wait to talk about how I'd rewrite Hell of a Boss, since a lot of my ideas are just kind of based off what Vivziepop includes in her stuff but doesn't expand on, which I gotta say, it's so funny to see so many people agree and think the same thing about Kesha B being a hybrid child of these two, because like, it does make sense when you think about how hellhounds are native to gluttony, since in Dante's Inferno it basically references the first hellhound, aka Cerberus, as living there. Plus, I mean, we all kind of want to see more bug citizens that aren't pride citizens anyway, because I'm just gonna say it, the bug citizens don't look like bugs. They don't look like the bugs that they're referenced to be. And I can hear all of you right now, Nifty's a bug? Yes, Nifty is a bug, and it's so weird to look at her because she does not look like one at all. But also, Cerberus's relationship outside his family are not nice. He's constantly looked down on by all the sins, Lucifer especially, but they have a more work-hate relationship since Lucifer has blocked the human sinners from going to the other rings, which infuriates Cerberus, as his hellhounds have to go get the humans Lucifer made deals with, and don't even get a fair share of the souls, as his citizens, the hellhounds, have a need to fight and torture the sinners they catch, which I've always kind of headcanoned that Lucifer blocking the portals to the other rings was to make overpopulation happen faster, which made made God have to do something and introduce the extermination. So Lucifer would be getting satisfaction watching his angelic brothers and sister violently hurt human souls, because even though they're in hell, God still made them and loved them. So Lucifer is basically winning in a weird way. So like some weird psychological battle between him and God. But all the other sins weren't too happy about it, as they wanted the souls as well. For what? I'm not exactly sure yet, because they have to get something out of this arrangement along with Lucifer. Because what's the point of having all these human sinners down there except for the obvious? I mean, the sins and Lucifer have to be getting something out of this arrangement. Because if not, then what's stopping them from like absolutely murdering everybody? Like I can see the other sins coming up to Lucifer's ring and just going absolutely ballistic, because what even is the point? Because I mean, we have Belphegor's sinners going up to the human world to steal drugs, and then we have Asmodeus' sinners going up to the human world to entice humans more. But we know what happens to the human sinners after all of this. They go specifically to pride, and it's just like, why? What do Asmodeus and Belphegor and occasionally the others get out of this arrangement? You know, there's again with the lore situation that I'm having problems with, and again, I'm going off topic. Sorry. I gotta save this all for the rewrite, but yeah, Lucifer and Cerberus have a bad relationship along with Asmodeus, but that's just because he finds him gross. Beelzebub, on the other hand, has a weird relationship with the sins. They see her as less than now that she's married to Cerberus, as again, they see him as a dog, they don't see him as a person. But like, Asmodeus thinks it's hilarious. Lucifer could care less until someone compares his relationship to Lilith to theirs, to which he scoffs at. Leviathan honestly could not care less. They understand why they married, but just doesn't care to be involved with them. Satan, he's not super thrilled they stopped their war. Mammon, they don't talk to him. And as for Belphegor, well, the relationship is weird on both sides, as he's always off in his own world, and when he does pay attention, he's always surprised. Like, someone will ask about Honey, and he'll just go, "Who's Honey?" To which Beelzebub will be like, "My daughter." And Belphegor would say, "Oh, well then," and get right back to fixing or making something. Like, he doesn't keep the best tabs on everybody's lives. It's not that he doesn't care, it's just that he's not really paying attention to them. Like, he cares because they're all family in a weird way, but he's just like, my mind is somewhere else, and the tiny fragment of information that I have just received within this conversation is all I will remember. So... But anyway, this was fun. I can't wait for you guys to see Honey, aka redesign/reimagine Kesha be. And I say redesign and reimagine because it's a bit of both, since I'm combining the parents I made and also using all of Vib's ideas, except the circus one. I just can't with the circus theme anymore. I will talk about that later. Anyway, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Really helps out the channel and me. I hope you all have a super fantastic day, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!